And to break down some of the results and look ahead to the big races this November, let's head to KIMT News 3's Dee Steepen.
Yeah, she joins us now live in studio with local political analyst Dr. Eric Shoars. Dee.
Yeah, good morning, Tyler and Ariel. Dr. Shoars is joining me, a political analyst. Thanks so much for getting up early this morning and chatting with us.
Absolutely, good to be here.
Yeah, well, it was a very enthusiastic primary election, maybe compared to some of the years past. And let's get to one of the most talked about races this morning, which is, of course, for Minnesota's governor. As we saw, U.S. Representative Tim Walz won the three-way race for the DFL nod. But I think what really came as a surprise to many was Jeff Johnson's win over former Governor Tim Pawlenty.
I think Johnson's win was less surprising than people would think, because if you look on the Republican side, it comes down to this. If you're not on board with President Trump, go home. And you saw that with Jim Hagedorn. He was very much and has been a vocal supporter of President Trump. And Jeff Johnson has been a supporter of the president and positioned himself more as the conservative than Governor Pawlenty. And let's remember back to the 2016 presidential campaign. Pawlenty was very critical of President Trump, called him unfit, and that did not play well with Republican voters as he sought to win the primary yesterday.
What are your thoughts on what happened on the DFL side of things?
DFL side's very interesting. As we've seen nationally, the Democratic Party go more liberal, more socialist in some sectors. Of the three candidates for governor, Tim Walz is probably the most conservative. And he's not a conservative, but of the three, probably the most conservative. Also, what's interesting is, regardless of the party that you're in, being part of the establishment or perceived as being part of the establishment, not a good thing. The DFL endorsed candidate did not win, and it was not close. It was Walz that came out. How that plays in November, that's yet to be seen. How far left the voters are going to go, and how he will be received statewide versus Jeff Johnson in a state that almost went Trump in 2016.
Right, and as long as we're on the topic of Walz, he's vacating the seat for Minnesota's 1st congressional district. That's another really key contest this November. We have Jim Hagedorn. He's running for the 3rd time. He's going up against Iraq war veteran and Obama administration official Dan Feehan. What are your thoughts on that race? What can we sort of look forward to with that?
Well, I think with Hagedorn, and it was just mentioned a couple minutes ago, how Carla Nelson did so well in Olmsted County and less well elsewhere, is because this is the 3rd time Hagedorn's run. He's very well known in the 1st district. He has more money now than he had during his last run against Walz 2 years ago. So he has the backing, he has the brand recognition. That's going to be his key advantage, because Feehan is not as well known. It's going to be very interesting to see very early on what the tone of the race is. Given the polarizing nature of both candidates, this could be very ugly very quickly.
Yeah.
I would expect the governor's race to be much more civil, still hotly contested, but I don't see Johnson and Walz as the firebrands, if you will, that a Feehan and Hagedorn will be. Finally,
just wrapping things up, any other races that we should be keeping an eye on for this November?
I think mainly it's those two. If the Republicans or Democrats are going to have a wave during the midterm, and let's remember, a first-term midterm for a president tends to be negative for his party. If the Democrats are going to have a wave, they need to win that 1st district to take control of the House, and if the Republicans want to keep control, they have to win. So that's going to be that key race that not only we're watching locally, but nationally as well.
Should be a very interesting midterm election, that's for sure. Dr. Shoars, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Tyler, Ariel, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dee, and also thank you, Dr. Shoars, for your insight.